Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Alien Event. Saeed, David, Farman, New Humanity Movement, Alien Event, Alchemy Event, all that other jazz, Biomed Expo. We got them all. The fifth concept of health, wellness, consciousness, and Alientology. Now we're adding that too. So Alientology was the biggest concept for humanity, which they bastardized it out there in the public, and with a bunch of sub-agents interfering with false information in this community. That's why we invite in real people like Captain Randy Cramer. Captain Randy Cramer, welcome to Alien Event.
Thanks for having me, David. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. And it's a pleasure. After a few years, we meeting you. You were at the, was it Los Angeles even some years ago? Yeah, or Las Vegas it was. But I'm honored to have you, sir, and welcome. I think the best thing is we start at a novice level, Alientology 101, and we jump it up and down as we go along. If you can introduce yourself to the audience and your ranking, your knowledge, who you are, where you've been, you start the show. Go ahead.
Sure. I am Captain Randy Cramer, United States Marine Corps Special Section. United States Marine Corps Special Section is the covert military space program arm of the Marine Corps and was started in 1954 timeframe by Dwight Eisenhower, some other senior military personnel, to create a military wing to cope with covert military space program issues, as he felt that the corruption level of the MJ-12 program and the special study groups was, I mean, as he gave in his own speech, warning of the military industrial complex. That's what he was referring to, is these group of people who were running wild with technology information and keeping it super crazy and secret. Lots of money was exchanging hands, and he felt it was very corrupt and the military was losing control of it. So he wanted to make sure that there was a military arm to sort of at least somehow keep an eye on, regulate the process whenever possible. That's was difficult for some decades, until as an organization we grew into bigger boots and managed to be able to fulfill those goals, to be able to be a better watchdog of some of what's happening inside. That is not to say that there is not still a mess of activity. I'm just going to barely touch that and say that it's still a mess underneath the umbrellas of covert military space program activities, because it is not a unified system. But at least there is some watchdog oversight on some of it, attempting to keep people in line with treaties and contracts and so forth that we've signed with other species. So special section personnel are typically do tours of duty that can range actually from less than a decade to several decades. A lot of people like to talk about sort of 20 or 30. There's really not a standard amount of time. My personal time of active duty is over 30 years. Most of that was spent in the MDF, which is the Mars Defense Force, contracting agency to defend the colony organizations, which is a whole other conversation about the Mars Colony Corporation and who runs that, how long that's been going on since the 70s. But did that for the first 17 years of my career, essentially as an infantryman, and then got my personal dream. I got a commission, got to go to flight school, got to become a pilot, spent the remainder of my career doing some pilot stuff for a few years. And then because I was infantry and hand-to-hand trained, started working with a special operations team doing high-speed interception, intervention of high-value targets, both to retrieve or terminate in hot zones, and then was returned, which this gets to be the weird part. In order to keep all of this super secret, personnel are what they call age reversed and memory wiped, which is not accurately 100%, but you come back into a same age body when you left 15 minutes after you left, with a repression of the memories. You wake up, think you had this really long dream, and then go, oh, I'm just going to forget that, and sort of go on with your life as if that didn't happen. But the psychological impacts, emotional PSD trauma and so forth for combat personnel for sure sticks with you and requires some healing recovery process. The memory recovery process took years, a couple decades, probably actually. And then what is almost 10 years ago, my brigadier general asked me if I wanted to be the public relations and spokesperson for the command staff of Special Section. And I said, no, that sounds like a terrible job. I don't want to do that at all. But here I am. So obviously he convinced me after some back and forth conversation on why that might be a good idea. And I agreed that it was probably a better idea to do that than to not do it. So I wasn't thrilled about the idea, I'll be honest, but I do my best to over the years try and shed some light onto subjects which are much confused by many psychological operations, by many intelligence organizations, military organizations, space organizations, governmental organizations, global organizations, corporate organizations who would lose money, position, standing, or power when we have disclosure on the table. So they all know that their time is limited. They know that's going to happen eventually anyway, but that doesn't mean that they still don't try and pump the brakes whenever they can, slow the process down. So if it weren't for those people, we'd already be past our disclosure events. We wouldn't have to do anything weird to get there. But those people have slowed the process.
Exactly.
People,
a lot of people slow us down. A lot of them.
Yeah. They've monkey wrenched a process that should have happened decades ago. We should have been in disclosure
30 years ago.
Yeah, about between, there was a plan for 1980 to actually be a target year from about 1975 through 1977, 78. 1980 was a planned year. And then something, which, again, that could be a long conversation, something occurred that changed the path internally. And all of a sudden we're putting that on hold indefinitely, and it's been dragged out now for decades. But we were actually on target for a 1980 disclosure date after the release of Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was a preparation film, right? To get everybody to go, oh, there's aliens and they look like this and it's okay, right? I mean, it was just to put that into the group consciousness so that they were going to do a couple other movies. And then by 1980, we'd be able to just be like, hey, let's meet them up. But something happened. And then the conversation of what was being fed through Hollywood turned into aliens bursting out of people's bodies, eating them, and it turned super hostile. And then it was put on hold. Anyway, so we should have.
Captain Randy, may I interrupt?
Oh, please. I'll ramble if you don't interrupt.
After 30 years, I came to the same conclusion that if you really put 100% the whole picture of what's going on in front of public, they will go nuts. Not only that, the church will pull their gun out and they will run in the streets and shoot everybody and every alien they see or everybody talking about aliens. These people cannot accept the concept of reality that when Catholic Church took Book of Enoch, which is all about aliens. If audience haven't read the Book of Enoch, go read it. They took it out of the Bible, plus 14 books out of the Bible, plus Book of Enoch. So if you guys missing 14 books out, and there's 8 miles of bones and books under the Vatican, and Vatican want to bless the aliens with holy water. So something going on, right?
Yeah, and the Catholic Church has always secretly been an inky worshiping cult anyway, with the big fish head for the Pope and everything. I mean, it's all just rife with inky symbolism. The Freemasons talk about the Great Architect, which is inkyism. So most of them are really just inky cults anyway. But so interesting that you bring that point up. I would say we can address the social psychological demographics directly there. The numbers globally vary country to country from between about 15% to about high 20% of people who are mentally, emotionally, psychologically unstable. And so it's not most people that we're worried about. I mean, a solid 3/4 or more of the population will handle it just fine. People you're talking about are in that margin of people who it will rattle their reality to the core, that they would rather go shoot someone, shoot themselves, set themselves and their family on fire, or some other thing rather than cope and accept with something that destroys their paradigm of reality. So it's still a tiny fraction. I want to be really clear about that. It's a small portion of the entire population that's psychologically and emotionally resistant to that. And all I'm really gonna have to say to that, to everybody, whether you're one of those people or not, too bad, so sad, you're just gonna have to get over it because it's gonna happen anyway. And so those people are gonna either have to cope, or they're gonna freak out, or they're gonna want to check out, or they're gonna go out in a blaze of glory. And there will be a moment where that's gonna be a little rough for some of those people, and it's gonna go a little crazy, but it's not gonna end the world. It's not going to, cause so much civil turmoil. I mean, we've had civil turmoil now for the last 3 years, and it's not brought us to our knees. So a little bit more is not going to crush us, but those people are just going to have to deal with it. And everyone else, if you have those people in your friends or family circle, pat them on the shoulder, tell them it's okay. Try and walk them through it for a minute. Tell them to breathe deep, and sip a cup of tea or something, smoke a joint, and relax, because it's all just we're going into a new territory. Just what's going to happen.
Yeah. May I ask you what projects you were involved with which groups, I should say?
I'm sorry, specify the question by, what do you mean by projects and groups?
Like in Mars projects, there were multiple projects. You've been involved in any specific project, or you were just taken as a soldier or captain with the electric, the real NASA, how do we call it? We got a fake NASA, real NASA.
Well, NASA's real. It's a civilian space organization, which has a limitation of the technology that they can use. So they can use rockets, they can use, some level of technology and propulsion that's down here instead of up here, what we have. But they're an actual organization that does stuff. The recent pictures they shot of the moon that they just sent back are pretty amazing. We're going to have as a global community, we're going to be having some conversations about that pretty soon, because there's tons of evidence of canals or digging or water formations or something. It's super interesting what they just brought back. So good I want to applaud NASA. Even I know some people don't like them. I applaud them and say thank you very much.
The fake NASA.
They're not fake. They, like I said, they do jobs. They send rockets up. They send satellites up.
They send rockets. Yeah, the rocket NASA, not the real NASA.
Yeah. No, they're doing a great job. I never want anybody at the JPL or NASA to think that I don't think and respect what they do, and that they're doing good work.
No, we respect all the time.
Talking to people about space in the limited way that they can. Let's just be nice to those guys about it. They don't deserve the hate.
Never ask a question, NASA.
That's all senior directors and stuff. The people who work there are hardworking physicists, scientists, engineers. Yeah. We cannot just be mad at all the people.
We have to hold a public image. Yeah, we have to hold a public image for space, so people don't go to sleep, or Russians and Chinese don't show some other picture.
Right.
So this is a good show. I mean.
Right, but we can also expect, based on some of the information of what we've been told about money that they've been given to study some of the videos of the UAPs and so forth that have come out that the Navy has and so forth. So NASA is now being paid to do an investigation on that. Some of the stuff that I saw in the pictures that they've got from the moon could be really interesting if they want to start talking about them. We could be this close to NASA actually providing some more real information than they ever have. So rather than poo-poo on them, I want to encourage them all. Please give us and share the good information that brings us closer and closer. Let's all work together. And the
rabbit hole is so deep, Randy. The rabbit hole is so deep, as you know, you've been involved. That the more you go in, the scarier it gets. Like, do we got over a billion planets? Each one has a reptilian human type, or many millions of other types of the different galaxies. I mean, this is so big that we cannot even imagine. In solar system, how many different beings do we have, may I ask you?
Well, and this is why I encourage all of us as Terrans to huddle together as a unified force against all of the other things out there, so that we can stand together and thrive as a intergalactic civilization, because we can. And we can interact with those things and benefit from trade and protect ourselves from those who are hostile and help those who are in need of help. And we can engage with all of that as intergalactic citizens, as an intergalactic civilization, we're more than capable. We're doing it right now anyway. We might as well just bring everybody else in on the show and let the civilian public at least understand, if they can only understand this much, fine. Give them this much to try and chew on, let them understand this much. That's better than nothing. That's better than
have you been in face to face with the extraterrestrial?
Lots of times.
In
like
Mars or where?
All over. I mean, certainly on Mars, there are other species there. So we interacted with them mostly shooty, stabby on a very consistent basis. When I got to be a pilot, one of the jobs that I would get on a regular basis was to go as an assistant with the diplomatic corps to the intergalactic space station, which orbits around Jupiter. It's huge. It's about a mile in diameter, big round circles, kind of shaped like a bell, actually, if you were to look at it from away from it. So it's got a big round top that's a roundish bottom that's like about a mile in diameter with some under levels that again is sort of shaped like a bell. So that main top part, which is this big rounded section, about a mile in diameter and probably 80 or 90 feet high. So I guess it's anyway, that is a meeting place for everybody. So other species, it is a diplomatic center for other species, our species, to meet there for trade discussions, diplomatic discussions. It's a safe zone.
How many races are you talking about?
Thousands.
No, in that meeting.
In that individual room, again, which is a mile in diameter, and they create holographic conversational environments, which can be a table or it could be a square if someone has to breathe, or in a fluid environment to talk to somebody on the other end, how they communicate, if it's verbal, through a translator, through a psionic communicator, which is a little halo, or, I mean, there's all the different ways in which you can sit, talk, communicate with anybody, and they can create these conversational environments with the hard light holograms, think holodeck technology, right? To make whatever they want. That room is always full. So on any given day that I have ever been there, there is no less.
How many is full, may I ask you?
I'm saying there's never been any less than thousands of individual meetings taking place at at least in the high hundreds, or over 1,000 meetings taking place.
Multiple beings, aquatic,
many,
reptilian, human type.
Yeah. So here's something that happens there. This is an interesting factoid about that. So none of us think about this because we live here and we're looking at people who look really very similar to us. And when I say similar, I mean your pattern recognition in your brain looks at another human being and sees very similar features. So it doesn't have to do a whole bunch of decoding for your brain to interpret the image of what that person looks like. When you're in a room full of other species in which none of the normal pattern recognition that your brain wants to do can do for any individual person that you're looking at who's another species, but there's dozens of them, you get a headache. First of all, your brain starts to hurt from trying to see things, and your vision's blurry. Like, you literally cannot decode what you're seeing right away, and there's an adjustment period. There were times we'd have to go in and sit on a bench and wait 15 minutes for our pattern recognition and our eyeballs to adjust to that many different species in the room, which confuses the fudge out of your brain and actually makes you have to work really, really hard to see things. And it's even possible under that circumstance for a species to look so unlike anything that your brain is prepared to decode that your brain will literally tell you that you're not even seeing what you're seeing. That's a very rare circumstance, but it has happened. But what your brain has to do that is a really complex set of computations. And we don't do that when everyone around us is Terrans and humans. But when you're in a room of 50 different species, your brain is literally trying to decode head size, eye position, neck length, shoulder width, height, width, skin color, all is different pattern recognition, and your brain just goes, I don't know what to do with all this information, and it absolutely gets befuddled for a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, hundreds at least in any given moment, probably in most cases, well over 1,000 or 2,000 or more conversations going on. You couldn't count. I mean, it's the room's a mile fucking in diameter. You can barely see end to end. I couldn't count all the tables or all the people talking. But you've also got a variety of, I would say the shortest, tiniest species I've ever seen in that room was about 18 inches tall. I can barely make my hand, 18 inches, about the yay high. Tallest species I've ever seen in that room was probably closer to 70, 75, 65, 70, 75 feet tall, almost to the ceiling of that room.
75 feet.
About, yeah, that's a guesstimate.
So the look doesn't matter. An entity can be a piece of wood and walks with information, or a tiny or a huge, or this universe works on a different level.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Everybody evolves from everything. So people come from everything: animal, vegetable, mineral. So rocks, crystals, plants, different animal species, insectoid species. All the
we see in Sumerian time, or in Persia, Sumeria, all the Babylonians or wherever, Egyptians, that they were all kind of Anubis. There were lion head beings. There were bird head aliens. There were, you name it. Ant head beings. You probably came across all those kind of stuff.
Yeah, all the things we can be familiar with, and then a whole bunch of stuff that we've never seen and are also never been familiar with, because it's that diverse. Yeah.
Does every nation you've seen have a different agenda, or what do they want? Where are they heading? What stage of evolution are they, or the ones in the meeting you met?
Everybody's different. I mean, everyone's at their own place on the ladder of social, economic, mental, psionic, cultural evolution. And so depending on where a species is on that ladder will depend on what their needs are, first of all. So species who are very high up on that ladder of evolution, their needs are very low. They have learned to create everything that they need, get everything that they need. They don't have to go mining stuff, buying, trading much. So there's not a lot of trade that happens between those species, because they're very self-contained. They have everything that they could possibly need. Species who are down the ladder, who don't have everything that they need, who still have to dig things and mine things and build things and trade things, are doing just that, trading stuff. And I would say that 99.99999% of all activity in space is people trading something or shipping something from one place to another. And the other tiny percentage of, bandits, pirates, hostile military empires and so forth really represents a tiny, tiny fraction.
What is it that they need from what kind of mineral? Or I understand they love our waters and they call us Blue Planet, and they come here to visit the waters. What is it in this planet we have they're interested as trading, or minerals, or gold, or what is it? Titanium? Beer. I don't know. Anything?
Beer.
I'm sorry?
Beer.
Beer.
Beer. We make the best goddamn beer in the galaxy. So I'm not even kidding.
Are you serious?
I'm not even kidding. I am dead serious. Terran beer is the best goddamn beer in the galaxy. Let me tell you why.
You're funny. They come here for our beer.
Yeah, and let me tell you why. So we have a creative urge when we make things, right? When we really take it for granted. We presume that other species are the same way that we are about how we make, build, and create things. So for example, a Terran Earth scientist, engineer, builder builds a spaceship, and he's like, okay, that one's pretty fast, but the next one, I'm going to make it faster, and wings on it, it's going to put fins. Like 5 minutes after one of our people makes something, they're thinking about how to make the next better one. A lot of species, and I mean most of them, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are a lot of species who are literally flying around in the same freaking spaceship that they designed 3,000 years ago, because why change it? Why bother? It works just fine. So the impulse to keep creating and making something better and better and better and better is not as common as we would think it is. It turns out it's pretty rare. It's one of our special talents as human beings and Terrans on this planet is our drive to create and make things better and better and better and better.
But Randy, these beings don't drink. I mean,
yeah, they do. Everybody drinks. Everybody drinks. That's what I'm telling you. It is a beer galaxy. It is a beer galaxy. Everybody gets a beer buzz and everybody loves fucking beer. It is a beer galaxy. That's the truth.
I love you, man.
That's the truth.
Let's have a beer. we can walk in any planet and say, hey, we got the beer for you.
Yeah, you bring Terran beer to any event and they will think like that you brought the fanciest, most expensive shit in the galaxy because you did. You brought Terran beer, the best shit in the galaxy, and they will be like, "Oh my God, you brought Terran beer! Thank you so much."
They can't produce the same thing
because their process again for this for centuries, millennia, thousands of years is it's okay. So there are planets that barely, I mean, they make mead. They still drink mead, right? There are planets that their ale is still like, you know, we have centuries of brewers and brewmeisters that make 3 batches a year and everyone's an improvement every time. So we literally have a scale of improvement that's exponential. So a Terran beer is like centuries beyond in development and
exquisite,
exquisiteness, but we take it for granted that we
like our women.
So we do it.
Our women, Anunnaki love our women and little girls. They take them and they, you know, they have them as concubines or whatever, you know, and they breed them in their planet. So we seen actual videos that they come and take the little girls out. And do you have any information on that on Mars or anywhere else? You hear any kids taken or projects like that?
Yeah, let's be really clear that there's what's against the law, and that's against the law. Even, you know, Terran larger law or planetary global law, the law of the fleet that maintains the solar system, that is against the law. Trading in human beings, especially children, would be strictly prohibited and is strictly a crime. Now, does that mean that there are no criminals that conduct themselves in that behavior just because it's a crime? No, sadly, no. But it is a crime and it is not okay. And if anyone is found or sussed out to be doing that, they will be arrested and they will be prosecuted. But to say that we have fixed our trafficking problem would also not be true. So we have been working on shifting our slave problem and shifting the trafficking problem, and we've made progress there. But no, it's not fixed. It's definitely not fixed. But as far as who's regulating space, the literal space, you know, Terran space and solar space is what's legal and what's not. That is not legal. That is not okay. And anyone found to be practicing those behaviors will be arrested, tried, imprisoned, and detained. But it's a problem that continues to need to be fixed. There's not much more I should comment on that, because then I would start talking about why it's still a problem, and I shouldn't be talking about why it's still a problem, because then I have to talk about a subject that I don't want to get any shit from those people. Let's just say that those people are being investigated.
Exactly. Especially about Illuminati.
Let's just say that the idea that those people are getting away with it and that they're not being looked at, they aren't being scrutinized, evidence hasn't been gathered, and at the right appointed correct moment when they can be arrested, you know, they'll be.
Yeah, let's change the subject there. Captain Randy, were you on Montauk chair at all, or Montauk project?
No, never. I mean, I certainly know of it, but no. I was never at Montauk or involved in any of the Montauk.
How did you guys jump? Did you take the elevator to Mars, or Did you jump through a portal, or what you guys do?
Jump gates, we refer to them as jump gates, which are essentially wormholes. So yeah, basically localized generated wormholes to create a
Can you
entry
talk
point A.
slower? Some of us, we are old, and
Oh, sure.
yeah, and yeah, can you repeat when you say jump gates, where was it the exact location every time, or different locations, or how do you define jump gate, or what is
Sure.
this substance is made of?
Sure. A jump gate is basically a wormhole. So a wormhole has an entry point at a point A and an exit point at point B. And those points can be anywhere, and they can be light years apart. And the relative distance, though, between point A and point B is really only inches or millimeters, depending on how it's done. So the actual distance of the wormhole does not stretch across space. That's not how it works. It crunches space together so that you only have to go 3 inches to get from one space to another.
3 inches.
Entrance, yeah, the
It's
entrance of the wormhole
like
and
in
the
the
exit of the
same
wormhole.
time zone, but different rooms. You just jump in.
Yeah, the wormhole is, like I said, here's the entry point, here's the exit point. Technically, this could be any distance, but it's usually a very small distance. But where this A point could be and this B point can be, again, could be planets apart, light years apart, as far away as, the travel is capable of doing, which there's some limits apparently, but it's a lot. Like,
they put the coordinates of, for example, Jupiter in the machine, and you go
it's a
ahead.
computer. It's a computer that does all the calculations, and they are able to basically pinpoint a location on a map, and the computer will calculate how to get to that position. Or if you're going from jump gate to jump gate, that's like going from a predetermined location to another predetermined location. That's like a network. If anybody who's a Harry Potter fan, that's like the Flu network. That's like being able to travel through the fireplaces that are connected to each other because they're in part of a network that makes it super easy to just go. That's like dialing into, you're going to this number, Alpha Bravo 32159 exit Echo is the door you're going from here to, and you're just dialing it in. Otherwise, you can pinpoint a location and send people there or extract people there if you're trying to put soldiers or personnel into a battlefield zone or something like that. So it's literally, you can put people anywhere.
Physically, you feel something happens to your, like your cellular memory or anything bodily, or you feel nauseated, or what do you feel?
At first, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like flying at first. I mean, you get nauseous, there's a headache, you get dizzy, but you acclimate to it. So, I mean, probably by the, I don't know, 6th or 7th time or 10th time that I'd done it, I felt pretty stable. So when you're going through it, something disrupts your inner ear. And so you do feel like you're completely turned upside down inside. You're not in any way, shape, or form, but it feels that way. So
is it the same as
a portion, then come out
same as a time travel machine some people have created, or government has one too? They're going to release it soon, next few years. Is it the same as time travel machine?
I'm not as familiar with the time travel equipment, and so I really couldn't comment on that. On one
have you never been back in history or future in history?
All the times that trace amounts of time travel have been used in my life, I had very little. I had nothing to do with it other than I was transferred from one point to another point. But no, I have not been a historical time traveler or any of that stuff that I'm aware of.
So, so what was your exact mission, if you want to share it with us?
Again, where are we talking about? When I was on
Mars, you named one or two of them, the most important ones.
Sure. Like I said, when I was in the MDF, basically an infantryman, and so we sort of did regular combat with indigenous reptoid, indigenous insectoid species. A lot. That was grueling. And then I became a pilot and was stationed on the Nautilus, the EDF-SS Nautilus, which stands for Earth Defense Force Starship Nautilus, which is essentially an aircraft carrier in space. Patrols.
I'm sorry, repeat that again for the audience, or if you want to type it in the text. How do you say that again? It stands for what? My apology. We just want to make a good recording for everybody that what we're talking about. the chat, I think for everybody, I believe I made it for everybody. Can you chat in there?
Earth. So EDF stands for Earth Defense Force. And it's the Nautilus. I always forget how to spell Nautilus. Where an A, I think it's with a U.
No, you can type in there. I've made for everybody, I believe.
Yeah. EDF SS Nautilus, which stands, so the EDF SS Nautilus, which stands for Earth Defense for Starship Nautilus, which I think I just typed in there.
Thank you so much. Earth
Yeah,
Defense.
which is basically a aircraft carrier for little tiny fighter spaceships and patrols the solar system. Everybody that comes in and out has to go through traffic lanes. So if you're visiting, you're a diplomat, you're in trade relations, you're coming through a traffic lane. If you are outside the traffic lane, you are in the not you allowed to fucking be there zone. And if you're in the not allowed to fucking be there zone, then that's where the ships are patrolling and we get sent out to just fly around. I really called it glorified guard dog duty because anyone comes into the yard, we bark at them and chase them out of the yard. It's basically what would happen 9 times out of 10. Every once in a while, there'd be a little kerfuffle, but mostly they just run away. People trying to get, sneak in without going through the traffic lanes, trying to avoid us. And then the probably the more interesting job was when I got transferred to the, it's the, I'm gonna brain fart this morning. It's the, what's that guy's name?
It's okay.
No, it's another famous Navy admiral that the ship's named after that I'm just drawing a blank from this morning because I didn't sleep enough last night. But anyway, it's something I'll think of it.
All these ships come into our planet. Are they allowed to come in? Multiple different races, and they jump in through wormholes, as we see in the videos released out there. So,
well, again, some are allowed to be here. They have permission. Some are not. And if they don't have permission to be here, then we shoo them away and deal with them as if they're lawbreakers.
Well, so what's our government, not government, but the military, the Starship military, or what do we call this? The real NASA or...
I mean, we often refer to it as the Covert Military Space Program, or again, they are identified under the umbrella collectively, multiple countries, all under one umbrella of the Earth Defense Force. You can call it whatever.
Yeah, U.S. Starfleet, we should say per se. What is the next level, or what is next, or what are they doing that you can share with us?
Alien invasion is next.
The fake one or real one?
Oh, it's going to be very real. It's going to be very, 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 very real.
Well, we hear there is 2 races are against us. That is that what it is? Always?
No, it's a little more complex than that. So it kind of started out more as a conversation on how to have a staged invasion with the species who was agreeable to that. What we knew was going to happen that I couldn't say we knew was going to happen until it happened, which it happened. So now I can say that, which is we knew that the Schwabenlanders, Nazis, were going to attempt to subvert that plan with another plan, which they did. They made another arrangement with them so that instead of us having a staged invasion plan, the Nazis have a real invasion plan to use the aliens to invade, to take over the world for Nazis.
You mean the new Nazis in the Antarctica?
Correct.
Do you know, have you been? Yeah, have you been there, or how many races live there? We hear there is multiple things there. There's an artificial sun, there's rivers and mountains and vegetation, there's technology.
Well, that's definitely when you get down to the Agarthan network level, and there's an entrance point down there for sure, but I'm not sure how close to the surface. I know that there was an old spaceport there that's like over 100,000 years old, or like almost 200,000 years old, that was abandoned a very, very long time ago. I don't know enough of the current data to say like who else is down there, other than that there are military personnel working on an archaeological dig still. But I don't know how close they are to the living spaces near the Agartha network, or how close they are to the tunnel or channel that leads down there, which is miles wide. It's a miles wide tunnel that you could drive a space. You could drive an aircraft carrier through.
Are we dealing with those people or not?
Some military personnel, some covert military personnel are definitely dealing with those people. We have diplomatic relations with them for sure.
And these new Nazis, are they still like their forefathers, or they're more benevolent, or what, more peaceful?
Nazis always suck. They're never not going to suck. Nazis always suck. And the best thing anybody can do is kill Nazis all day long until there aren't any more of them left.
So if they they have their own UFOs and UAPs that are all over the planet, right? They come and go as they please.
Oh yeah, there have been hundreds of debris and crashes recovered, picked up over the decades. Yeah, hundreds.
And we stole the science from Nazis after the war with von Braun, right?
We got some of that technology because of von
Paperclip
Braun.
and Paperclip project and all
Yeah,
those.
but we also, what we got was something dropped off for us off the Bay of Los Angeles, in the water off the coast of the Pacific Ocean in, what was that, January of 1941, after the Battle of Los Angeles, which was a UFO that appeared in the clouds over Los Angeles during World War II, which there's tons of anti-aircraft artillery, and they pulverized this thing for over an hour and a half with anti-aircraft artillery, and it just sat there just going, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
There's a really good photograph of it that ended up on the cover of the LA Times the next day. So it's one of the most well documented and well publicized UFO
What
sightings.
year was it? 1941?
I want to say 4041, and January, February time frame, 4041.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
And the Americans thought it's the German. I mean, some Germans or somebody's shooting or in the UFO, right?
Well, what happened was it just sat there and took, pummeled and didn't move, didn't get a scratch on it. And then the next day, the Navy found a small scout ship that had been dumped in the water that they just picked up and took in, and it was like, thank you very much. And so someone was giving us something to try and even the table a little bit so that we could start.
So what happened to that scout ship? What was the benefits of that?
Oh, I mean, we started taking it apart so that we could
reverse engineer. Okay.
Yeah, so that we could compete in any way, shape, or form with what the Nazis were developing, which was.
Well, we got the Roswell ship too, right?
That was in 47. So that was after World War II. This was still World War II, pre-World War II, right at the very beginning, World War II timeframe. So that 47 was well after. And
Eisenhower met a few races, right? Two races?
Yeah, he had diplomatic meetings with more than a couple. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, why we couldn't deal with Pleiadeans or tall whites, or we did sign up stuff with tall whites, right?
Well, it's very complex. What sort of happened was we were approached by different parties to say, hey, we'd really like to help, but we would like you to do A, B, and C for us to do that. And most of the people who were coming were saying, all right, we'll help you, but we'd really like you to get rid of those nuclear weapons. We think they're very dangerous. We don't think they're a good idea, and we'd like you to not have them. And if you agree to put them away, then we'll help you. Our military personnel, which I don't think was wrong of them to think this, was like, if we give up our nukes, that's the only thing we have to fight you with. So how about we hang on to them for a minute and you help us understand something better than that. I don't think that was unreasonable for us to actually say, why would it make sense for us to give up the one thing we could defend ourselves with?
Wait a minute. Does nukes penetrate their shields?
They can. Some of them can. I mean, some ET craft are incredibly vulnerable to nuclear weapons if they can fire them off within range. Absolutely.
Now we saw a video that somebody nuked the moon. Have you heard about that?
Oh, I mean, if they can intercept the missile or deactivate the missile, I mean, a sophisticated enough defense system, it can neutralize a nuclear warhead. But I'm saying that not every extraterrestrial has that sophisticated of a defense system and could be vulnerable to a nuclear blast. Absolutely.
Are we fighting with any race in the moon?
No, I wouldn't say that we're fighting with any race in the moon. I would say that the DMZ on the backside of the moon has a number of species that live there and have habitated there for some time. And we're still trying to evict some of them that we don't think should be there anymore.
And they warned us, don't come back to the moon, right?
We come back all that. We have a base on the backside of the moon. We came back, we built a base. We were like, no, we're here to stay too. So
the fake NASA stuff on the moon travel, I mean moon, all the stuff they did, was it fake? The moon landing.
No, that wasn't fake.
The
moon landing was super real. It super happened. The astronauts actually walked on the moon. Here's the funny story about that, and I've talked about this before. So when they went to the moon, which they did, they had these cameras that they had never used in space before. In a no atmosphere, high cosmic radiation environment. So they didn't know how to take pictures on the moon.
Right.
The camera, they knew how to take pictures. So they went to the moon and took a bunch of pictures, and took some film, took some 8mm, and took some photographs.
Yes.
And what happened when they came back was they realized that because they'd never done this before with this type of camera, most of their pictures looked like shit. And so they were in trouble with, like, oh my God, like Time magazine, Life magazine, everybody wants pictures. What do we do? And they panicked.
So who took the picture of Armstrong coming, putting a step on the moon?
Yeah, well, I'm saying some of those came out. Some of the 8mm stuff came out.
No, but who? Wait a minute. Who was the one who took the picture? If Armstrong stepping down the ship, putting his feet on the moon, who took the picture?
So I'm trying to explain. So what they had to do,
man.
So what they had to do. So what? No, I'm going to explain. So what they had to do was say, all right, a lot of our footage and pictures that we took don't look good. We can't hand them out. We can't show them. What do we do? And someone said, well, don't we have a bunch of footage that we took on that sound stage that we were practicing on? And somebody went, oh yeah, we do. Let's use those. So they just have never been willing to admit that because they had a bunch of shitty pictures, they had to use pictures that looked good, that were from
yeah, probably that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, the soundstage was not a classified top secret. It wasn't a hoax. It was, they were practicing. They were using it as a simulation.
Well, none of them, they put their hand on the Bible that they did go to the moon.
Well, they've been there. The moon, it's real, because they're not going to tell you what they did there. They had a special mission there. They turned off the cameras and they turned off their radios and they had other stuff to do, you know.
What was the special mission there?
Investigate a crashed craft and see what they could find inside of it.
Did they find anything?
Yeah, they sure did.
That's a 1 mile mothership. I saw the picture.
Yeah, look up the, what is it, Apollo 18? I think it's the Apollo 18 mission that they went back.
I looked at that.
They recovered what they call the Mona Lisa, which was this
exactly
cadaver of an extraterrestrial of some kind. It's like 7 or 8 feet tall or something like that. Yeah.
So they're studying that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, this is back of my head. Now so many years you're reminding us of exactly what's going on. Yeah.
So much information. Who can keep track?
Yeah, you keep going. You're fascinated. Subjects awesome. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm just saying that they landed on the moon. That was real. And the reason why they used a bunch of pictures that weren't real was because their cameras didn't work very well. And they just haven't wanted to come clean and admit that they use soundstage pictures.
Yeah.
But they totally did. And the whole Van Allen belt shit is wrong. And let me tell you why. Because the entire capsule and the spacesuits and the glass and the helmets and the windows was lined with gold foil and gold fiber as a radiation reflector. So the whole thing, every suit, every part of the capsule, the windows, the face plates were all lined with 24 freaking karat or was it 18 or something, 18 or 20 or 24, some super high purity of gold to act as a reflector. Gold reflectors reflect out radiation great. So inside a gold foil
Wait a minute.
reflector, which
The
they
amount
were.
of heat would melt that gold, wouldn't they?
Now, we use satellites all the time that we launch into space that have gold foil wrapped around
Correct.
them to protect them. So that stuff makes it into space, no problem.
So we do, according to what you're saying we can cross Van Allen belt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You just have to have, a decent radiation reflector, which we have even better radiation reflectors now than gold foil. The panels that they use on the TR3Bs, it's almost like 9 inches thick. It's really thick. And it's like this layer of
Titanium,
woven.
probably titanium.
Some kind of woven carbon fiber, something, but it's like almost 9 inches thick.
I was told that an alien race gave us a material that they are not telling us what it is. Maybe, that it's beyond the Earth stuff. And that with that material, you can go, your ship can be traveling any part of the universe without having any heat problem or anything.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about a couple of these super elements. Some of that could be true. I've never seen one personally. And the other technology that I've seen makes me wonder, in some cases, maybe why you'd bother, but certainly maybe that might be more practical to use a super material like that than some of the other stuff that they use. But
Bob Lazar was working on.
I've heard him talking about it. So just because I've never seen it doesn't mean it's not a thing, but I've never seen it personally, but I've heard people talk about it. Sure.
Have you met anybody in other planets, in other projects you've been to, which you can name that is in ufology now? In person? All these speakers and all these book writers and fake or real. Have you seen anyone of them?
No. I mean, no. I mean, there's really none of those people that I've encountered in my career, so I can't vouch for any of them. That's
even even Andrew Basiago in Mars.
I have no reason to doubt his recollection of his story, but I certainly can't confirm or deny anything about anything that's ever happened to him. I don't know.
You were not in the same project, or
no, definitely not the same project. We never met. At that time in our lives, we didn't meet till, I don't know, 8 or 9 years.
Pegasus, yeah. Project Pegasus. You didn't see Obama in there, Satara in there.
I had nothing to do with any of that. That's for sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's not get too deep on this stuff. Get you in trouble with the. Yeah. And you go ahead. Keep going on your endeavors in which planets you were traveling to.
So here in the solar system, I've been to Mars, and I've been to a few other moons for mostly cleanup stuff. Titan, been to the base on Titan, which is the moon. Always forget which one's that around. Is it around Neptune or Uranus? I forget. It's Neptune's moon or Uranus's moon. I think it's Neptune's moon.
So what's in there? They took you there.
The military base. And they have they have methane lakes, methane oceans that are basically so cold that the methane concentrates down into a liquid. And so I have stood on the shore of a methane sea. That was weird.
Well, what's good about methane sea?
Nothing. If I wasn't in a suit, I would have died just from the fumes. I'm sure you can't breathe the air, the atmosphere. Correct. It's just a fascinating thing scientifically to see what we would normally experience as a gas so cold and densified into a liquid in so many
lake.
I mean, like a small sea, like a small. I mean, it's like a Great Lake size. I mean, it's huge. And the methane doesn't look like water. It has a
any of these planets you could walk without a suit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Which one?
I mean, actually, you can breathe on Mars. You can breathe the air on Mars. It's cold in some places, temperate in other places.
They say Mars is 65 degrees, which is the best temperature for humanity.
Maybe near the equator. I mean, we were way up north where it was just cold. But yeah, I know it's warmer near the equator.
We've been. They said we came from Mars, but before they nuked it, some race they nuked it.
So they kind of blew up their own planet accidentally. That blew out the atmosphere, which with no atmosphere, the entire ocean, all the water boiled out, like instantly boiled into space. And so massive amounts of water started leaving the planet, busting right out of the atmosphere, until it created a new stratosphere, right? It had to create a new ionosphere, stratosphere, heliosphere, hydrosphere, so that it could start to create a new atmosphere. So there was a stabilization point, with atmosphere blowing out, everything just getting pulled out, boiled out, ripped out, causing 700-mile-an-hour plus winds that lasted for weeks. Everything was torn up. Every tree, every animal, every blade of grass, everything was ripped up out of the ground and spun around in a blender for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before it's all settled down, which is why you just have this giant layer of dust over everything, because it blew everything up, swirled it around for weeks at hundreds of miles an hour. And by the time it settled, it was just dust settling from everything being torn apart.
Captain Randy,
anyway, what happened after that is some of them stayed, some of them left and came here. An indigenous humanoid species that also has on Mars an indigenous humanoid species, which is not us, but an ancestor of us. They came here, and a reptilian ancestor of the species that lived there now also came here. So we had two different species from Mars who came here at the time of the destruction. One human, one reptilian. Correct.
What kind are living in Mars now underground?
The indigenous reptoids still live there. The indigenous insectoids still live there. There are some indigenous humanoids that still live there, and two other species I'm not familiar with that are much tinier, that I presume also live underground, because everything lives underground, but I'm not too familiar.
Are they peaceful or against us?
It's not so much peaceful or against us. The insectoids are, I mean, they'll get combative and territorial with anyone, which we did for a number of years, but we had a peace agreement at some point. So I'm probably not fighting with the insectoids anymore. They're fairly peaceful. The reptoid tribes that we made friends with were in the northern hemisphere, so we have some relationship with northern tribes, reptilian tribes, that we have some peaceful relationship with. My understanding of the southern tribes is very hostile, and most of them, if you were to run into them, you're gonna have a fight to see who gets to have dinner, and whoever loses is dinner.
Did you watch the Alternative 3 video? We and Russians, we went to Mars in 1968.
Yep, that was the first drone mission that we sent. That was a collective Soviet-American mission. Yeah, that's a legit video. That is legit footage.
Yeah, that changed my life. And in the beginning, when I was a teenager, they used to, the video was sold on the table. FBI would come and take it away from all the vendors. So we had to watch it secretly. And that the audience should know, in those days when we were young, there was no internet. So good luck. You guys are way ahead of us. So
yeah, you had to know a special guy who knew a special guy who knew a special guy that had it on an old VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so when there was events in Los Angeles, we used to go. Many real ufologists we met, they're all dead. And I keep looking at myself and said, well, I'm lucky I lived this long between all these people. A lot of my friends are dead as well. So life is precious, and we have a mission to accomplish. If you want to stay on the planet, you can. You request. And if you want to leave, it's by request. And you can be born in any other planets. I've been called to do other projects in other planets. So this is a great universe. The universe has given you the right to do everything. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a ton of freedom on where we want to go and where we want to be and what worlds we want to incarnate and be a part of.
It's a great universe. Yeah, it's a great universe.
Yeah,
different beings. What may I ask you? Have you came across a different sex alien or extraterrestrial, and what's their reaction to a male or female of the planet Earth?
So there are other species that have more than one biological gender type. I am not very familiar with all of the details of that, only to know that there are species that have as many as 6 individual distinct biological genders. They are not binary systems. They're like hexanary with like 6 different biological genders, which is, I'm not even sure that as a binary gender species that my brain comprehends that super well without looking it up in the book. And I might be like, oh, is that how they do that? I'm not sure, so I haven't been to that medical
So
class.
they can get pregnant through their different genetics, or I mean, what you call it, body parts or whatever.
There's a lot of different options for there are I mean there are sort of binary sexual creatures that like we are, males and females. You have monosexual or asexual, which are one gender but manage to reproduce as, you know, a single gender between themselves.
How do they do that?
It depends on their own biology, but they're able, as it, like, you know, we have species that are
usually they have eggs, or like yeah, they like they have eggs coming out.
Right. Well, they're usually it's a you have one singular gender that's equipped with both like fertilization and eggization, right? You have essentially a single gender that has both of the components that just needs another member to make babies with, and they can both fertilize each other's eggs if they want to, right? And then you have binary gender, which like we are, male, female. Then you have others that are 3, 4, 5, or 6 genders and get very complicated. So I don't know how all that works. I'm going to be honest with you.
Pleiadeans, they have the most beautiful Pleiadeans. They have one of the most beautiful women in the universe, and I believe in some form or shape, I've met 1 or 2 male and female Pleiadeans in U.S. in when I was teenager. They used to, and some of them were even speakers that they disappeared. I don't want to name them, but is it possible that they went back, or they were trying to help us, give us informations, or what do you see on that level?
It's possible. I mean, I know there have been a few characters like that over the years that have popped in and popped out pretty quickly, because it was pretty clear that they were not originally from here, and it became fairly obvious of that. And then they didn't seem to stick around long. I'm, without talking specific cases, I don't know that I could respond too much to that, but I do know of at least 2 cases where a person who was not from here, who had a provable biological distinction and literally presented themselves, talked for 5 minutes, and then vanished because there was clearly not a good idea for them to stick around. But
you know, one of our alchemy event speakers in 2012, Dr. Fred Bell, you know, you probably remember him or know him. He used to work he was a great scientist. He was walking in Pentagon as a consultant, and he told me personally, he sat next to a gentleman when he looked at his arm in a meeting that in Pentagon, that his arm had fish scales, very tiny fish scales.
sure.
And then he was very super intelligent, and he told me that he was talking our language, looked like one of us, similar looking, very intelligent, and sharing information with the meeting on technology and everything else. So have you had those chances to meet human reptilians or any other form of shape in meetings?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I've met lots, dozens and dozens of different species other than us. So most of them, luckily, most of them, you know, shooty situations. So we weren't.
No, that they talk like
other,
humans, they're affectionate or human.
They can. I mean, some of them certainly can speak English very well. Some of them, I'd say a lot of species, you know, the similarities that it was sort of we have as living things with a lot of other species is personality, right? I mean, other species have personality traits where they can like things, dislike things, have, favoritism towards this thing or a disfavoritism towards the opposite thing. So they have opinions, attitudes
Yeah.
that are different and unique and don't necessarily represent their entire species. So, it's never a good idea to talk to someone as if they're just a representation of their species, because everyone's an individual and everyone has their own thoughts and ideas about things and can add their own 2 cents to the conversation.
Yeah.
Everybody, most species have a laugh, even if they're not funny or they don't have a lot of emotional tendency. I don't know that I've never met a species that didn't have a autonomic cathartic laugh response. And so there's something very, although maybe not totally universal, but maybe very universal about laughter as a biological function. So it's not just something in our consciousness. It has to do with this natural cathartic biological response to things that can scare us or be absurd or so forth. And so even species that don't normally know what humor is or know what a joke is, you can still, if you work hard enough, and I've done this, I've tried to translate a knock knock joke into another language hard enough until I finally came up with one that was so bad that I got somebody to laugh. And I was like, I made you laugh. Like, no, that's stupid. I'm like, yeah, it was stupid, but you laughed, right? And I was trying to make a point. And I did. It took a long time to try and translate a freaking knock knock joke. But
Randy, we got a few questions. Audience
sure.
is typing. You want me to read it to you?
Go for it.
Anonymous attendee here is typing. What was the name of your wife on Mars who died in your arms?
Dory. I mean, it's Doris, but no one ever called her that. So I just called her Dory.
I'm apologizing for reminding you of such thing.
It's okay. I'd rather not talk about it, but there you go. Thanks for bringing it up.
My apology. Becky also asking regarding the alien invasion you talking about scenario, are they good ones or bad group?
Well, I'd say that the insectoids themselves are neither good nor bad. I'd say I'd lean them maybe even on the good side, but this is a contractual situation. They're doing what they're doing because they were paid and contracted to do so. So they're not doing so out of goodness or out of malice. They are doing so because someone simply made an arrangement and paid them something that they felt was fair for the exchange for them to be here. So they're doing this to fulfill a contract, nothing more.
So when is the invasion according to you?
It's event driven. And I have said that I said in December of 2019, as we began the pandemic phase, I said we're entering into a 5-stage process. Stage 1 is the pandemic phase. Stage 2 is the civil disruption phase, which followed pretty quickly after the beginning of the pandemic phase. Stage 3 is the World War III stage, which we have now begun because Russia invaded Ukraine. Correct. China is still ready any minute to invade Taiwan. North Korea is any minute ready to launch a missile at Japan. They've been practicing and launching over the top of over their heads for weeks now, months. So it's the minute that those two parties, China and North Korea, fully enter, then we are fully into the World War III phase. Phase 4 is the alien invasion phase, which as soon as we are fully into the World War III phase, we could be looking at any amount of time of days, weeks, or months, probably not long, but any amount of time of days, weeks, or a few months, maybe 6 at the most. Let's hope it doesn't take that long before we hit the alien invasion phase. Stage 5.
Are they coming to stop the nuclear event?
No, they are contracted to come here to try to take over the world for the Nazis because the Nazis are paying them. Paying them. They've contracted them as contractors to do the job of trying to take over the world for them because they can't do it themselves because they suck because they're Nazis and Nazis always suck.
Oh my, this is getting serious. Okay, let me digest all this stuff. you have a lot of knowledge that is new to me. So I appreciate you sharing this stuff with our audience. And
Yeah, I will just say this: people can say whatever they want about the stages or what they think is going to happen. From December of 2019, Special Section Intelligence personnel have delivered no less than about a dozen predictions of what's going to happen, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're batting 1,000. We're 11 out of 12, and the only one yet to come is actual China invades Taiwan alien invasion.
Yeah, I told the first of the war that this is a 7-year war. What do you think? And 2029 will end either with nuke, or we can change the timeline to a non-nuke one, depending on mass consciousness and a lot of some people like me and you.
I think whatever's going to happen is when it starts to happen is going to happen very quickly, and it's going to be resolved one way or another in less than a couple of years.
Okay.
And let's just fingers crossed hope that it ends well and we can have a nice reconstruction phase.
Yeah, we always had wars. It doesn't matter. One more war on top of it. Millions of billions died. Yeah, we cannot avoid humanity's pathway to consciousness. So this stuff, some leaders take us to wrong directions. That's why I say we don't need politicians and governments. We need the one planet, one system, and we go forward without anything, and we defend ourselves against the alien invaders. That's all we need. And until that day, we got to go through all these bullshit. 186 nations want to fight each other. In Peru today, they're overthrowing governments. In Iran, we have that kind of stuff. In America, we have this kind of election shit. They spend $1 billion for pre-election. Come on, guys. This stuff is getting serious. And they want to bring the old oligarch back again, Trump and Biden. Is there any other man in this country left can be our president, for God's sake? Re-elect you.
Capt. I can't run. I'm a military officer. I can't run. That'd be a conflict of interest. I'd have to retire first, which I'm not allowed to do to be able to run for political office.
Randy, so how about we rewrite the Constitution or amend it or whatever, and we have 50 people, the best of the best, selected by the mainframe computer on the Atlantic Ocean, by the mother. They call it the mother, if you know about it.
Oh yeah, I know.
What if the mother goes through everybody in the planet, pick up the best 50 men and women who can run this country? Can it be possible? And let them run America with the military and the government, and our government would be under them.
Yeah, I'm in favor of functional systems that work. And so I'm pretty much in favor of any functional system that can work. And I would love to see smart, capable people actually in charge of things instead of greedy, selfish, narcissistic.
Exactly. All the big pharma running our government, or big corporations, or Koch brothers, or Dick and Henry. We don't want to name them. If everybody wanted with their money run our lives and our politics and governments, what kind of governments do we have? Bunch of, bureaucrat, whatever.
And if you got a computer that can pick out the smartest, most capable people with the most integrity and who have the least likely to be corrupted.
The AI.
Let those people run stuff. Sure.
Yeah, let the artificial intelligence in helping humanity running that show. We are already 50% AI. Everything we do with the Black Mirror, your phone is your Black Mirror magic that Illuminati built for you to dream, consciousness, communicate, whatever. Let the AI, which is running the planet already, and the governments, feeding the information to military, government. Everything is done by AI right now. We're not talking about Elon Musk. We're talking about a real AI. The AI.
No, the real artificial intelligence computers, which, to make a distinction, we don't really call them artificial intelligence. We call them living computers because they're constructed, born,
quantum
raised. You have to raise it like a person, and then it's sort of an adult living computer, which is yeah, it has ethics, it has morals, it has standards. It doesn't just like, humans must be eliminated. Like that's not what a real living computer will do.
Finds the
So
best scenario of any situation by
yeah,
calculation. Yeah, in a millisecond.
yeah, they
Instead
can
of
just do billions and billions of calculations per nanosecond. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And if we got 50 best men and women, or without women, AI can run this country. Yeah, and military is protected, and there is a administration run it. There is, forget about election selection. Davos telling us who should be president, or Rothschild should pay who, or the other guys. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. This is America. We're in front of humanity. You know, when I don't want to get offside, but I'm sorry I interrupt you. There was more question. There's more question. Let's see. Bob Wheeler. Hey, Bob. I know Bob. Bob Wheeler says, "Hey, Randy, please talk about the alien invasion." Oh, we did talk about that.
We did.
And how did you recover your memory? And is it same as our remembering? Is it same as our remembering?
It's different. I mean, the information is compartmentalized in your own brain. So a way to think about this is your brain is like a bowl, it's a vessel. The water inside the bowl or the vessel, that's your mind. And if you took a balloon and you filled it with some of that water and put a cork in it and floated it inside that bowl of water, that would be the compartment of hidden memories. And so when that cork comes out, all that mind, which is fluid, quantum fluid, wants to flow right back into the rest of the mind, but there's a cork in it and a very tiny gap that it has to flow through. So this is all very like biological physics that I'm talking about. So the process of it is indeed difficult to get that cork to come out, and then to regulate and deal with the flow of information that's flowing into the mind of memory and so forth, so that you can then sort out that what's in the vessel now is different than what you thought it was before, because you uncorked the balloon and all of the fluids are now the same. If it was a clear liquid and then a balloon that had blue liquid, the cork comes out, now all of a sudden it's not the same anymore, right? It's mixing in together. You have something completely different. So when you get memories back, you become a different person than the person you were before the memories were not recalled, but not, because it's all in there, but it's not mixed together. So it's separate and then it's mixed. It's a complicated process. One of the things we do through the University of Conscious Evolution, the school that my partner and I teach meditation, psionics, and self-mastery with, is working with people who have been in military covert programs. And there's a protocol, there are a series of protocols for actually sorting that out that are faster than the stuff that I had to do. So there's some shortcuts that we've been able to develop and learn and apply.
What is psionic? You teach in psionic. Explain to us, what is psionic?
Telepathy is psionics. Telekinesis is psionics. Remote viewing is psionics. Quantum healing is psionics. So any of these psionic abilities, any of these psionic tool skills are the manifestations of the mind waves, which is what psionic means wave of the mind or way of the mind. So your mind waves, when in high enough amplitudes, create psionic ability effect. So when you increase your psionic amplitudes high enough, you start to experience things like telepathy, telekinesis, precognition, remote viewing, and all of the other skills.
You can move the objects, telekinesis?
Yeah, no, I teach students a rudimentary, basic telekinesis protocol to move a very tiny object that weighs less than a gram in a near frictionless environment that, you know, most students, when they first learn how to do it, can maybe see it move millimeters at a time, but that's physics. Physics is happening there when an object that has a mass moves a distance over time. So
are you a remote viewer?
What's that?
Are you a remote viewer?
I can. And we also teach that to our students as well. Remote viewing is another skill that we teach our students. And we teach a whole bunch of stuff.
Exactly. Let's go back to alien invasion.
Oh, sure.
Tell us more if you want to share anything.
It's interesting. I mean, not much to share other than at this point, from what we understand, it's an insectoid species. The infantry of this species somewhere between sort of 6.5, 7 feet tall. From the reports that I have read, I have not encountered them before. This is not a species
What,
that I've met before.
ant type or what type?
The insectoid type.
Like a cockroach, huge man cockroach.
So insects have 6 legs. So think of like 4 appendages on the ground with a torso, a thorax up, the head on top with 2 appendages out front. So
what kind of head?
Like
what kind of head?
Some ugly bug.
Ugly bug.
Dare I be a racist and say
That
something
they can
not
chop
nice
our
about
head and
ugly
chew
bugs?
it.
Well, some of them, but what I just heard from someone who might have some reliable information on this is we've also been led to believe that they may have a front wave that's not the infantry, that's like a beetle or some other kind of bug. And this person seems to think that, and again, maybe not, maybe accurately so, I'm still assessing this person's recollection of this, their remote viewing of this, that there's going to be a large beetle that's maybe the size of a Volkswagen bus, a bug, not a bus, smaller than a Volkswagen bus, bigger than a Volkswagen bug, that will just jump on people and bite their heads off and make them explode when they bite them.
What is it they want? To take over the planet?
They are contracted to try to take over the planet for the Schwabenländer Nazis, because Nazis are assholes.
Yeah, but we're talking about 9 billion population. How they want to eat everybody?
They don't have to eat everybody. All they have to do is cripple the military, cripple government infrastructure, so that
super intelligent.
Take over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're super intelligent. They're super intelligent. They're not here to eat everybody and take all the water. They're highly intelligent. They have spaceships and advanced technology. They're very telepathic. So their job would be.
Okay, they take the infrastructure, so they take over the governments.
Yep, let the Nazis take over. So we're not going to let that happen.
How many Nazis they can run this planet?
I'm skeptical that they're competent or capable, or that their penises are large enough, because Nazis have very tiny penises. That's a statistical fact. So I don't think that they're competent or capable. So to be honest with you,
your sound comes and goes. Go ahead and repeat that again.
I don't think they're competent or capable of doing so, of running the planet. I think there's a lot of information that we understand about their inner workings that shows that their infrastructure is a mess, that their command structure is a mess, that their discipline is a mess, that their system of intelligence and gathering and information flow is a mess, because they're corrupt Nazis that like to do too much speed. They love methamphetamines because they're Nazis, because they're tweaky Nazis, whatever. Anyway, I don't think they're competent. I don't think they're capable. I think it's their desire and their dream to take over and be competent and capable to do that. I don't think that they are, and I don't think that they're going to win. Let's keep in mind, again, that there are other forces that are here at play that are not going to just allow that to occur. Hence the war. If there was just going to be one way or the other, there'd be no war. But since it's not going to be that easily decided, we will have a war to decide who gets to win and rule the planet.
What about a nuclear event? Is this something will happen or can be avoided, or somebody would?
We're concerned. I mean, we've been getting alert messages for inevitable tactical nuclear events, which an inevitable tactical nuclear event does not mean that a missile is being launched. It means that intelligence has observed movement of a truck, train, plane, or other vehicle which carries a nuclear warhead or missile from point A to point B in order to ready it to be launched, which is the Russian way.
Well, you're talking too fast. Back up again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is too deep. Yeah.
Okay. Let me try this one more time. So, a inevitable nuclear alert does not mean that a missile is being launched. It means that a missile has been moved
Yeah, it's
be it
getting ready.
train, truck,
Yeah,
boat, or plane in order to a position that it could be launched.
right,
So
right.
when that happens, an alert goes out that lets all special section personnel know that a situation is approaching in which the next following message would be to shelter in place, right? Or to seek shelter if there was going to be a follow-up.
I mean, we were in Long Beach a few years ago. I did a Chinese or whoever it was out of submarine suddenly shoot the missile. We all saw it.
Yep.
Same as me. So in 5 seconds, they can submarine can shoot a intercontinental ballistic missile, hit Los Angeles or anywhere, and go out in the water. So we don't even have time to breathe.
Well, again, the tactics of what we have and what they have is very complex. So we have a lot of sensors on the bottom of the ocean floor so that, I mean, think of the ocean floor around the United States of America as covered with floor sensors. No one's getting close underwater on the air anyway without us knowing that they're coming close.
Sonar, yeah, the sonar.
Yeah, well, but it's not just submarines. They're like hidden positions that look like coral or rocks or plant life that are literally scanning every square inch of that ocean space every second of every day. So
wait.
between
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Between Los Angeles and Catalina is the deepest ocean in the world, and so much SSO submersive UFOs. They've been coming and going there. What do you think about those?
Oh, well, there is an entrance down again into the Agartha network. There are subterranean, meaning under the earth tunnels. There are suboceanic, so entrances that are down underneath the ocean. There is some massive engineered opening that they've made off the West Coast, off the coast of California. It's miles wide. And I'm pretty sure that that's actually part of the aqua tunnel that goes, I mean, it's designed to go eventually all the way across the country, to go all the way under the country so that submarines don't have to go around through the Panama Canal or around. They will literally be able to go from the Atlantic to the Pacific by going straight under the country. So right now it goes at least halfway to like Denver, to where the base in Denver is there, but they've just cut this massive tunnel, let it fill up with ocean water so that they can move submarines more quickly from the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans going right under the country instead of having to go around through Panama or some other bullshit like that.
What about these underground bases? They say with monorails, very fast monorails, you can from Area 51 they can go to, where do you call it, the Australia, that biggest dome, what is it called, alien projects there. I forgot what's it called?
Pine Top
or
Pine Gap. Sorry,
Pine Gap.
Pine Gap. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm saying that there's tunnels. They can go through Europe, and these are all were identified with number of ufologists 20 years ago. But I lost all this information as it got very scary. You keep going down the rabbit hole, it gets scary, and a lot of agencies, foreign and U.S., watch you. How much do you know? Who are you? Oh, you're a civilian, and you digging in this kind of Googling and digging in this kind of information. So all your business and your family and your activities go on the watch as an person of interest. So at that point, you say, does it worth it, or shall I stop? So I mean, this stuff is so heavy that even the aliens get scared of it. But
it can be. People have been killed and murdered to keep things quiet. It's true. So sometimes they work real hard.
Let's go back to nuclear event. So let me ask you: is there going to be another nuke event, or you're not?
I can imagine that I would be really, really surprised if we don't see a nuclear weapon used in the next 12 months. I would be shocked and surprised if we don't see that happen.
12 months.
Yeah, I would be shocked and surprised.
You mean by Russians or NATO?
Most likely. Again,
NATO?
we've been getting alerts on a regular basis that they're thinking about it. They're moving stuff around. They're ready to do things all the time, but there's some.
Well, why would they nuke their neighbor? The cloud will come over.
Yeah, here's the thing you have to understand about Vladimir Putin. He's old, he's sick, he's dying, and he is also mad with power and feels that the greatest, most horrible, worst thing that ever happened was the fall of the Soviet Union. And in many of his speeches that he has made in Russia to Russians is about restoring the greatness of the old Soviet Empire, and by annexing places that are Russian territory. And Ukraine is not Ukraine, it's Russian territory. Sweden is not Sweden, it's Russian territory. And these are very imperialistic.
Yeah, he is with submarines is right on the Sweden's shores. I mean,
yeah.
He's watching every day like it.
Right.
Sweden, so Finland, all these countries. In seconds, he can invade it with no problem.
Right.
The issue is not that. The issue is the worldwide nuke, and we heard some time travelers. They're talking within 50 years from now, a U.S. president with a short while presidency, he will go nuts and pull the nukes, which will end most of the humanity. I mean, that was very surprising to me, and why the U.S. will pull the second nuke, and why would be instead of North Korean or Chinese or Russian. So I'm baffled by this nuke business, because in one hand our future depends on it, your kids and my kids, and the other hand is and our planet, and the other hand how we can avoid it, or what is it? That's why I say get the politicians out of the equation. These bastards, they have no brain. One guy carrying a suitcase, like you said, he gets upset in North Korea. Let's push the button. I mean, get revenge from Americans. What is this? I mean, we should have a worldwide policing of all this stuff without politicians and governments.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we sure should.
Serious stuff for humanity.
Yeah,
and they go to United Nations, talk about bullshit. Instead of talking about our future, and come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean it's problematic, but like I said, the problem here really is that Vladimir Putin is either going to restore the greatness of Mother Russia at any cost, or destroy Russia in the process. Right. So he's suicidal. He doesn't care obviously doesn't care how many soldiers he sends into the meat grinder, because he's killed over 80,000 of his own Russian soldiers by sending them to their death, in which they had no hope of survival, and he just kept sending more and more and more of them. Over 85,000 Russian soldiers have died in this conflict so far.
Yeah, Bob says, what do you see the future of mankind going? Bob, it's very simple. 1/3 of humanity would be taken to motherships and to other planets. They wrote that in your Bible. And if you're not going somewhere, you stuck here, or whatever happens in the nuclear cloud hitting us.
Well, I actually think we're going to fix it. I think we have a post-invasion reconstruction period, which we're going to fix everything. World War II, everyone thought, if you were alive during World War II, everyone thought the world was going to end. And it didn't. It ended, the war ended, and then we fixed everything. And then we had the most economically generous period in American and global history in the 1950s and 60s, the post-war boom. So we will have a post-war reconstruction. We will have a post-war boom, and we'll forget all about it in 10 or 15 years, because everything will be so great. Yeah, we won't even remember it.
Randy, do we have motherships that there are miles and miles, and millions of people can live in it with vegetation, a synthetic sun, and water? What you call it, a ecosystem that million people can live many years. The food, to grow food in there, to grow food synthetically, naturally, all different kinds. Is that true?
It's possible. I don't know that we Terran Earthlings have any of those, but yeah, those are possible to be made when you have the engineering capability to make something on that scale, which we don't have, but there are species who do have the ability to engineer things on massive scales like that. You could build something like that. Sure. I've heard of them.
Right, right. We got multiple questions here. If I can get my glasses and read them. I'm sorry. 1 second. Anonymous attendee says nukes won't happen. God bless you. We hope not. The next Katie says you follow farsightprime.com. Remote viewing sessions are the military decision makers watching their many warnings, whatever that means to you.
I know I have a student that actually follows them and was telling me some stuff that they've been picking up. Some of their remote viewers are not bad, and some of the stuff that they come up with is not bad. So I'm not going to give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but I am aware of them, but not super aware of every single remote viewing prediction that they've made. But
yeah, Katie says, who's going to fight the insectoids invaders?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Katie says, who's going to fight these insectoid invaders?
Everybody.
Yeah, we have to defend the planet. Right?
Yeah, we get to all fight them or we're all going to die. So
yeah, we get united or we disappear.
Yeah, fight or die.
Yeah, so your North Korean will sit next to you and defend the planet. And that's your best friend.
Yeah, we all get to sit around the fire. Normally, the people who would hate each other and want to kill each other will all get to sit around and go, fucking aliens. We'll all get to spit on the ground and hate the aliens together. So we can all join together.
Reagan said that on the United Nations.
Yep.
When the alien invasion comes, you all will unite.
Yep, he's right.
That's a real United Nations.
He's right. It will. People will be forced to. They'll have no choice. They'll be like, oh my God,
maybe it's a good thing for planet, you know? Maybe it will unite us.
It better. Fingers crossed. It better.
They got to unite us. Otherwise, we will kill ourselves. And we will destroy the planet by nukes, you know?
I think our most dangerous possible outcome is really death by apathy. I think if they were really face a greatest threat, it's death by apathy with not enough people caring that we have problems that need to be fixed. And
right now we have that problem,
water that's not clean, and we have people have to come together and fix problems, or apathy can cause collective death.
Randy, is our problem overpopulation?
It's right now we are certainly at a level of population that is unsustainable by the current method of production. So we are certainly have more people right now than we can afford to food, house, and clothes.
Oh, because of food distribution, isn't it?
Let me finish. We certainly could clothes, house, and food the amount of people that we have or more.
Right.
But there is something. Trying to remember. I want to say it was Frank Herbert, science fiction writer, who said this when talking about population, overpopulation. He said, "Look, if you have a jar of flies, and the flies keep reproducing and getting more and more flies." The question isn't what's the maximum number of flies that you can live in the jar? What's the quality of life of those flies in the jar? So maybe the question isn't what's the maximum number of people that we can have on this planet. Maybe we should be asking what's the quality of life number that maybe is more ideal for everybody than, having too many people. And I'm not advocating let's murder off a bunch of people by saying that. I'm saying let's send some people to go colonize some places. And let's regulate, birth rates and things so that we can actually have a healthy level of functionality with the population. You can have plenty of people and have it be healthy, but you got to have civilized infrastructure to be able to do that, or you're just never going to be civilized.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sorry we keep talking, made you tired. We got some 10, 20 minutes left. Randy, you you want to take a few minute break? I can entertain the audience, or you want to finish it off, or however.
Oh no,
or
I'm fine. I'm not tired.
Do we have more questions? Let me see if I can open the question box and read our great the audience we have is a special. They're more trained than other events we had online. Thank you, audience. You're wonderful. Anonymous attendee says, Randy, you said humanity is going to be liberated or another talk show on another talk show. How can that be when we are going to continue to be worker being after we joined the Federation of Planets?
I'm sorry, ask that question
He
again.
says, he says you said in some of the time humanity is going to be liberated.
Correct.
But
Got
now
that
you
part.
say if you join the Federation of Planets, what kind of liberation is that?
Civilized liberation, where we are no longer living like barbarians, fighting for scraps amongst ourselves. So civilized liberation is where there is no more poverty, there is no more homelessness, there is no more no access to health care, there is no more people wandering around in the streets mentally ill, untreated, with untreated head injuries. It means that every single citizen is medically, emotionally, psychologically, and socially treated with respect and dignity, so that there's no poverty, there's no homelessness, there's no mental illness, and there are no people with head injuries wandering around. So you you fix that, you fix 90% of the world's problems.
Yeah, exactly. In America, we got millions and millions of people. They even have everything in their life, but they're not happy.
Oh yeah, we have the lowest happiness index in the world, and there's no reason why we should.
I used to be in that shoe 1995. I had a big corporation in computer industry, $20 million sales, latest Mercedes, best home in Orange County. Now it's $5 million. Best wife and 5 kids. And I was sitting in my office and said, shit, I got cash in my pocket. I got everything I need. I got best employees, 30 employees. They love me. They live on my effort and my hands. And I love them. And we have 500 best customers in America, distribution. But I'm not happy. I said, shit, what? I mean, now we're talking about this. Happiness is not the material thing, your best Mercedes or best yacht or best TV you buy. Happiness has to come. And after that, I lost everything to gain myself and my happiness. It took about 20 years. One Sufi master woke me up from my suffering, and he passed away, Pir Vilayat, of my Sufi master. In 15 minutes, he initiated me in Colorado mountain under the big tree in a 10-day camp. And in 10 minutes, my hand was shaking as he was praying and talking to me, looking at me. He changed my whole psyche and my DNA. I came down the mountain. I became a scientist, reading every goddamn book. I left my best looking girlfriend. I said, look, girl, nothing exciting about you for me anymore. I need more than that. So I was just, that's when my real life started and my eyes opened up. So somebody got to turn you around. And I'm sorry, I went out of the course. Being happy, like you say, you're a science teacher. Happiness comes from different levels. You can expand on that.
So yeah, I would, if you want to be super sciencey about it, I'd refer to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is a hierarchy of pyramid of needs written by a social scientist named Maslow, obviously, which starts with, material survival needs and goes up to social, emotional, psychological, personal, development needs, that as our world is supported on our most basic needs, then our needs change. And that to satisfy that hierarchy of needs, you have to have material stability, but then you have to have social stability, and then you have to have relationship stability, and then you have to have some individual stability around what that person is doing with their life, how they're happy with what they're engaged in and what they're getting something out of it, so that they feel some personal benefit or gain or development out of it. So without having a chart of it in front of me, anyone else to look it up, but it's a stepping stones, a pyramid of, you got to start with raw material needs, but then from there, it's not just about, like, everyone needs food, shelter, but nobody needs a house that's 50,000 square feet with with its own airport and a basketball course and a lacrosse course and a bowling alley. No one needs that, right? You can have it, but no one needs it, right? So everyone needs the basics. Everyone needs basic shelter. Everyone needs food. Everyone needs nutrients. Everyone needs healthcare. Everyone needs basic, something to do in their life that they find fulfilling. Need some positive relationships with family or friends that are fulfilling and functional and are doing something with life that they can feel like they're contributing with and that they're getting something back from. These are all part of the hierarchy of needs, so that what we really need is to be more fulfilled people. And being a more fulfilled person isn't about just having more stuff. It's about having better relationships and having
how
a better
we interact with each other. And like, that's why Pleiadians only work 4 hours a day in Pleiades, the seven stars, and all the and they have big homes. I mean, big home in matter of we greenery. One flat story, not multiple high rises.
Right.
And they enjoy themselves after 4 hours. They create the atmosphere that they provide for each other, and without money system, and they have multiple wives, and they can this issue of the community they have, it works on a different level than we humans. There was a senator right now is talking about closing the jails, and we don't need imprisoned people. That's just people talking about it. And it's a very great thing for why do we have to put people 20, 30 years in jail for stealing a gum? I mean, come on, guys.
Talking about like corrections and crime and punishment, I mean, really, it's the issue is, look, you've got less than 5% of the population that's psychopaths, sociopaths, malignant narcissists, and other like really dangerous people. You got
if it's a dangerous people, the AI sit on a chair. We don't even need a court. The AI finds out the guy is dangerous mentally and stuff, and delete him right now, inject him and kill him or whatever. So off the chair.
But most people who are in prison, if you could walk them through a different process of how you deal with life, they might be more than willing to be like, great, I'd love to give up this life of stupid crime. I started it when I was 9 because my alcoholic dad beat me up and I had to run away, and I joined a gang and started stealing stuff when I was 9. I'd love to get out of crime, So there's a lot of people in prisons who we could walk them out of there and them not want to come back and not be, the type of people that want to come back. And then you just make sure you never let the psychopaths, the sociopaths, and the malignant narcissists ever out again when you do arrest them.
Exactly. Or delete them. I mean, they're not happy. They cannot come back to society. They're suffering in the prison. Delete them. I mean, they will start a new life and come back as a new person. But what about the? We talked about a few things. What about money system? What do you think we should do in this planet with the money system and banks and all that shit?
So I mean, there's an intergalactic monetary system, right? So you have to trade things, you have to account for things. So there has to be systems of accounting. And so there has to be some form of monetary trade system. So money in itself is not bad or evil. What we have is a very inequitable financial system in which people at the top get to take all of it, and people at the bottom have next to nothing or nothing in some cases. When you're talking about the poorest people in the world, those people have nothing.
$6 billion disappeared under this kid in and now what's it called, the Bitcoin guy,
right? BTS or whatever it was.
BTX, and maybe he went to black projects. They put the kid in front of people And all the old people probably like me, here, million, 10 million. I give you today. And all these Bitcoin buyers, I love it. I'm glad they got the lesson. And this kind of mentality got to go away from humanity. Let's make money by doing this kind of crazy. If that's the way you guys want to have the future, let the Bitcoin go off the window.
Yeah, look, we need to get out of the money business, meaning out of the business of just trying to make more money with money. That's the business we need to not be in. We need to go back into the business of manufacturing and producing and selling products. And we have a galaxy of people who love our products because, again, we make great stuff. We have the best beer.
Like what? Like what?
Best beer. I already mentioned that. We make the best beer in the galaxy. Wine. We also make some of the best wine in the galaxy and hard spirits, but beer is the most widely drunk. Coffee. People love our coffee.
Coffee, yeah, I would go for that.
People love
Coffee
chocolate.
is something that not every
Strawberry ice cream. Strawberry ice cream. Strawberry ice cream.
Ice cream.
Strawberry ice cream. But our number one exports actually are military hardware. We make better plasma rifles, rail guns, body armor than anybody because we have, again, this perfected system of I'm going to make this better and better and better, as well as a manufacturing system where there isn't a factory in this country that knows how to run itself properly, where there isn't a guy with a stopwatch in his hand that knows how much money that factory is making and spending per minute. And when you have that kind of efficiency in manufacturing, you can produce massive quantities of massive numbers of products with few flaws, with high quality control, of which you can make orders. You can keep meeting orders with. So right now, we are the largest supplier of plasma rifles, rail guns, and small arms in this part of the galaxy right now.
What kind of gun you saying?
Plasma rifles and rail guns.
Rail gun?
Rail, R-A-I-L. It's a magnetic rail.
Rail gun.
Right? It uses a series of electromagnetics and it hurls the metal object, your projectile, down a magnetic rail. Look it up.
But we don't use that in our facilities.
Most of the problem is the power source. You have to have a high battery to keep running that rail. So most of the units that the Army is working with right now has a pretty big battery pack on them. But the ones that the covert military is using, we've got batteries that big that'll go all day.
Did the other races give us the laser technology?
I'm not so sure about that. I think most of that was derived from a combination of mid-century physicists and the reverse engineering technology of the craft that we were getting at the time. There's a mix in there. It's not like everything we ever developed was given to us by alien technology, but a lot of it was.
How these craft work on some of them, they have nuclear. Bob Lazar was explaining some stuff. How do you, what's the engine of the craft made of?
Right. Most of the ones that I'm familiar with use a combination of electrogravitics and magnetogravitics.
Sorry, repeat that again.
Sure. Electrogravitics and electrogravitics and magnetogravitics, which are electrogravitics is running high frequency electricity through the fuselage of the vehicle, the ship, which makes it weigh less so that it's lighter. The magnetogravitics is the actual anti-gravity propulsion system that runs a little toroidal field in a mercury well that's also being charged with high frequency electricity that produces a little inverted tornado that's like the anti-gravity propulsion that's made from that. So that's actually how you get your movement. And the electrogravitics makes the weight of the ship matter less. So you can move.
Now, how does it jump like that? The speed of light.
That's the field. That's the magnetogravitic field around it that is time-space independent. So it's meaning that if you are inside that field and you are moving at 1,000 miles an hour and you take a right angle turn, you won't feel it because the inertia inside the bubble isn't moving like the outside of the bubble is. So the outside of the bubble is moving, inside the bubble is not moving. There's no
You're
inertia.
in a bubble, that you sitting steady and the craft turning or
You
whatever.
could be standing in the middle of the deck of the ship without holding on to anything, or sitting in a chair and having a meow, meow, like that at 1,000 miles an hour, and you wouldn't even feel it probably.
Yeah, that I understand. Yeah, but the engine source you're talking about is hard to imagine. Yeah.
Oh, the engine sources are often like 0-point generators or electron pumps, things that can just produce massive amounts of electricity forever. But depending on the size of the,
how do you define 0 point for our audience?
I don't know that I could. All that I can say about it is that you're using a kind of physics that create or draw electrons from a quantum vacuum space, which isn't a vacuum. It's really not a proper name for it, in which when you access that space, you produce or pump or move nearly unlimited amounts of electrons. So you have essentially free electricity by using these different types of devices.
Free electricity.
So essentially free electricity. Another way of looking at that is, if anybody remembers from physics class from when they were younger, an atom, you have a nucleus of the atom, you have an electron going around it, and what most people would learn in class is that's all empty space between the nucleus and the electron. Not true. What it is a quantum fluid flux of protons, electrons, and neutrons free floating that are just moving like an ocean of subatomic particles all the time. So it's not empty space. It's actually other particles moving through that space all the time. So when you start drawing electrons from that space, you really can draw electrons forever and ever and ever and ever, because you're pulling them from the scoop of the ocean of electrons, not like an electron in an electron shell. You're
Right.
literally dipping a bucket into the ocean, and when you pull that bucket out, the hole that you pulled the water out fills up immediately, and you can just keep scooping out electrons. If in this case the water is electrons, and it will just keep filling up that space and filling up that space, and you can just keep scooping them out and scooping them out forever. So you have electricity forever.
Captain Randy, we got 2 minutes left. You want to wrap this up with any message, or for humanity, for America, for anybody in particular, aliens? We salute all the extraterrestrials who are telepathically watch this program, or they will hear or watch it later on. We are your brothers and sisters, and we will join you very soon in your sector or in this sector. God bless all of you. And Captain Randy Cramer, you've been a star of this knowledgeable. You want to add more stuff within the time left?
I'll just add this. Right now, I think what people need more than anything is a development in their psionic skills and ability, which is why my partner Kendra and I have devoted our time and energy to the University of Conscious Evolution, which is our website, where we have a ton of information on where we're teaching people how to meditate, master their minds, master psionic skills, and become better self-mastered people. So if you want to learn telepathy, telekinesis, or any of those other cool psionic abilities, come take our classes. We'll show you how to do all that crap.
Yeah, and I will invite you by email, send you invitation to our Los Angeles March 24-5-6.
Sure. Yeah.
Alienevent.com. We will put the information, or you can go to biomedexpo.com, biomedexpo.com, or alchemyevent.com, whatever. Read those information that we have an event in Los Angeles March, and hopefully Randy will show up. Otherwise, he can Zoom live, or Las Vegas, September 14 to 16. We got 4 days, a great show. We mix in the health and wellness with alien event. We got 2 events in one hotel, 4 days. Alienevent.com and biomedexpo.com, health and 53 vendors and stuff. So Randy, I appreciate and love you to join us today. And you're a star of the disclosure, we should say. And I wish you were here. I will give you some honorable gift to, when I see you, I will make sure that we honor you on the stage and as a leader in this industry and what you've done so far for disclosure. I thank you so much. God bless.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, David. You take care. Have a great one. Thank you.
Take care. Audience, everybody, thank you for joining us. Go to alienevent.com for our future broadcasts in health and consciousness and alien stuff, ET disclosure. Thank you so much. God bless everybody. Have a safe and good life, and we see you again. Take care.